What's up, Descendants? So let's go over a bunch of the mistakes that newer players make. I'm going to be saving you guys tons and tons of time. Alright, so these are going to be some of the frequently asked questions as well as things that will get you ahead of the game a lot faster. So the first thing I want to go over is, hey, Slaydra, where do I get this X character? Where do I get this X item? So for a lot of players, they are going over here to the NPC Anais, and they're going over here and they're going research, then they go to Descendant, click on the thing, and then they can go ahead and hit F, and then they can click on like where to go, and it'll tell you exactly where it is. Now there's another menu that is way better. If you just go ahead and hit M, open up your map, go to access info, you can access every single thing, whether it is a module or whatever that you're looking for the character or a specific mod, you can do this. But in addition to doing this, you can actually sort them here by like the rarities that you want, which is usually going to be like ultimate or transcendent, whatever you're looking for, right? But depending on the character or the mod that you're looking for, there's a lot of filters in here. One thing that's also pretty nice is you can actually activate tracking, which means that it will show in the area. You can only mark 3, unfortunately, but this is a really easy way for you. Once you're in that area, it'll ping as a green thing, and it'll basically kind of show you while you're out just kind of doing stuff. So check out this first. Make sure that you have everything marked that you kind of want earlier on. Once you get those, unmark it and then remark another one that you are looking for. It'll save you so much time. So this is going to be kind of related to the characters as well as the upgrades. Again, it just makes things super easy. And again, same thing with the characters. If you're looking to get a character, you not only need to get a very specific item, like it's not only just getting like the catalyst, but to get the catalyst, sometimes some of these items will require several other items depending on the character that you're trying to unlock. There's kind of like these low tier and high tier characters, and some of them will require more investment or more time to acquire some of these things. And some of these, by the way, are locked behind your progression, and that is due to them requiring you to unlock hard mode, which is accessed after you beat the game. You will have the ability to basically do the hard intercept battles, and that's where you get some of these items that won't show up. So that's the best thing to go ahead and go over. Next up, leveling. Where is the best way to level? So it's actually inside of Albion, so I'll show you guys exactly where it is, and also I will be making a video guide on exactly there, so check the pin. I'll also have it. It's super easy to do though. So once you just start progressing in the game, it's just right when you go to Albion, there is an area over here that looks like a little globe. You go over to it, you go ahead and hit search info, and then as long as you have this unlocked, you unlock it super early on. It's Kingston Defend Albion Resource. This, you just do 1 through 7, then you leave the map. If you want to push higher, you can, but it is by far the easiest and best way to get XP because the monsters are super easy. And on top of that, well, you really need really low effort for it. It's not hard at all. That's the best way to level up. Next thing, mod upgrades. When you upgrade them, and make sure you are upgrading your mods. I get a lot of people that are playing this game that just simply don't upgrade their mods and are saying, oh man, I'm dying too much. How come you're way tankier? It comes down to having your character built correct, but there is a upgrade center over here on the map, and I guess we should show off the NPC's name. So the NPC over here is the Module Master. Go to the Module Master and open up the menu and actually enhance your modules. Now, it depends on the character that you're playing. I was actually running a different Descendant before, so when you swap, there's a lot of things to factor in over here. So one thing that I really recommend you guys to do is put more points into something. I know it's going to cost more of the Kuiper shards, but what you want to try to do is invest all of it into specifically one that your character can use. Now, depending on the character that you're playing, this obviously is something that you're going to have to factor in, as some characters, like Glay, does not use any shields, so telling you guys shields is not a bad thing. It's probably not going to be super good. Now, in the very beginning, I get asked all the time, what are the best mods to level up? And I'll explain that in a second. But the most important thing is getting these upgrades as you go up in tier. From tier, I'm just going to use this as an example. So let's say at level 1, the shield is like 10%. When you go to 10, then you go to 11, then you go to 12. It doesn't go in the same order. It's not going to give you 10% each time. Some of these mods will give you a lot more as you start going up. And you can see the differences if you start leveling them up. There are different ones. You could also sort them. But basically, there's going to be ones that are going to be more advantageous for you to put more points into versus leveling them all up slowly. And the reason why is putting more slots in it obviously is going to make your module capacity go up, but you get way more of a benefit by leveling them up. Now, the next thing I want to go over that's related to this is what are the best mods to go ahead and upgrade for your character? Very frequently asked question. The best for 99% of players in the very beginning is going to be getting rifle reinforcement, and then for the defensive category, getting anything that's going to give you some sort of HP. And the reason why HP is superior to shields, especially while you're trying to complete the entirety of the campaign, is because when you're doing the campaign, there's a lot of health globes that consistently will drop, and you can pick those up, making your progress way faster. If you have to sit there behind cover waiting for your shields to regen, well, you're just kind of wasting time. So it's going to be more advantageous for you to get the HP modules as well as the defense ones that you can get earlier on. Then later, if you want to try to make more of a different build, you can go for it. I know that there's some builds that may benefit more off of shields because you can regen it or whatever the case may be, but for most players in the very beginning, when you're trying to go through the campaign, it's way better. You're going to save yourself a lot more time, so you don't have to sit there and wait. Another thing is on these bosses, when you are doing the Void Intercept battles, they literally tell you what you actually need to actually invest into. So you see over here, there's a weak point type crush over here, and it'll show you kind of like these little like symbols here, what weapons you should be using. But on top of that, we also have the attack attribute. So you can see, since it says attack attribute, electric attribute, well, obviously you get, you know, those resistances, right? So it's telling you to get those resistances. Do not skip out on this if you're going for the boss. You can freely just swap out your modules. There's no cost for taking them in and out. Do that. It's going to save you a lot more time and frustration when you're dying constantly to these bosses. Also, another thing to look at, you'll see that there's attribute resistance. There is very strong against any, like, let's say electric damage, but it's very weak against the green poison. I wish it told you exactly what it is, but that's toxic or poison damage. So basically, it tells you what the boss is weak and resistance to. Basically, breaking off some of those pieces will definitely help out. Another thing is to check out what some of these things actually drop, and you can just go ahead and check out what these drop, as this is going to be able to kind of determine what you may want to build into. So look at this before you're doing some of the bosses, and don't be afraid to do these bosses again and again. Sometimes these 3% drop rates, yeah, it's going to be rare, but eventually you're going to get so strong. And I would say, if I really wanted an Ultimate Bunny, there's so many parts that go into this that I might not be able to even access that very specific part until like the hard world. So sitting here farming for 3% is a literal waste of time. Wait till you get to the super far end game, and then you can just like basically one-shot some of these raid bosses solo. It's going to give you way more of an advantage for the time. Next up, another thing I want to go over is to stop hoarding items. You'll consistently get a bunch of items, and I would say if it's not going to be at level 100, unless it's an ultimate weapon, basically just keep on recycling your weapons. You're going to get more. This game gives you so much. Just keep on sitting there and recycling weapons. You're going to get way more. In fact, this is another tip that I want to give you guys, is some of the best items in this game for 99% of players are actually going to be the purple items over the ultimates. If you're wondering why, it's because it's way cheaper to go ahead and reroll the purple items than the ultimate items. And the reason why is they cost different materials. So if we go to the NPC over here, if I want to add more like rerolls to the item, there are certain items that will allow you to reroll. Actually, we can go over here and you can buy some of these items to modify. If you get a ultimate weapon, when you craft it, it will be level 1, but eventually what's going to happen is you can convert that level 1 to a level 100 instantly, and basically all you need to do is get that level 100, just slam it in there, and it requires a very specific thing called the Precision Phase Changer. These are totally fine. You'll have lots of gold. They give you so much gold in the game. Don't worry about upgrading these a couple times. Don't do it every level, but every like 10 levels, they will give you basically one of the ones which I have equipped, which is the Thunder Cage, which has a special ability. Also, if you want to know how to check the special abilities on the weapon, if I hit F1, I can go to the unique ability, and then I can read it. So what this does is when we kill an enemy, it's going to do some electric shock as a chance, a trigger rate. Now, these numbers can go up if I get multiple copies of the same ultimate weapon. So if I get multiples of these, well, I can keep on slamming them in. I get more trigger rates and more damage, more radius. These all get upgraded in the game. But specifically, the thing that I want to go over really quick is when you first get a ultimate, because I had a couple people say, hey, I just crafted an ultimate, but it's only level 1. What the heck is this? This is broken. So what you got to do, and don't worry when you craft it, you can literally slam it out immediately, and then you can start using it. So what you do is you just go to weapon transition. I already have level 100, but you would grab another item, and then you would put it in there, and then it would then transfer over the level, and then it requires that one thing. Now, that thing doesn't take that long. It's only 10 minutes. Don't spend money on it. You can just go do a mission, come back, you'll be totally fine. But then on top of that, there is a weapon readjustment. So if I wanted to re-roll this, it's going to call this fine adjustment control axis. So these are very expensive, by the way. Like, you're not going to get a bunch of these. But what you can do also to re-roll, like you'll see over on my item over here, we have chill attack, which is great. It's in gold. So the stats can roll white, blue, purple, and gold. Gold obviously being the highest. But what you want to try to do is get multiple of these to be gold. One of the best things you can see is on this left side, it says firearm attack. That is 1000% the best stat pretty much in the entire game. Now, depending on your build, you may want to go for crit, you may want to go for weak point damage, or maybe a specific damage type. That's totally fine. But what you can do when you are re-rolling in the very beginning, until you get a gold one, I would just slam out the re-roll instantly until I at least get maybe 1 or 2 gold ones that I like. Because if I want to lock, which means I keep this option, you'll see instead of it costing 1 of these, which again, these are expensive materials, instead of costing 1, it's now going to cost 2. If I want to save, let's say I really like hipfire axe, now it's going to cost 5. If I just want to reroll 1, it is 20 per. That's why I was saying before, the other ones are going to be way better to upgrade in the purple category for 99% of players. And the reason why is this ultimate ability. Remember how it works. If I kill an enemy, it's going to actually have them explode, which doesn't really affect the bosses that much because you're not going to be killing a bunch of small stuff next to it, hoping that it pops on the boss. Most of the time, you're going to be better off just running the purples, because without that special thing, losing out on the ability to reroll like a lot cheaper is the best way to put it, is going to save you so much time. But on top of that, the end game goal of a lot of your gear won't actually just be get all yellows. It's going to be mostly trying to get the set pieces in the gear. So I wouldn't worry too much about saving again all of these things. In fact, I want to say the drop rate actually might be too high for some of these things in the game, these reactors. Make sure, by the way, that if you have one of these, that it may say optimization condition, which is that you have that one specific thing. If you don't have that specific thing, that skill power is going to basically go down, and that's going to be tied to a lot of your character's abilities. Now, to be straight up with you guys, most of the time, unless you're playing Bunny, you don't really need that much skill power. Most of the damage that you're going to get in the earlier stages until you complete the campaign is just your guns. Just get your guns upgraded. That's going to be much better to actually gain in terms of your progression. And then on top of that, another thing that I wanted to mention is before you even buy or play any of the characters, one of the best tips that I can give you guys is go into the map, go into access info, click on modules, then type in the character that you're interested in playing. These Transcendent modules are going to be game changing. So let's say I wanted to play Bunny, right? There are completely different builds based on a character's ability that will be changed. So for example, over here we have electric charge. This makes it so we get to increase the damage after we do a double jump with that Bunny, and it can go up way higher. Now, I don't know what the exact numbers are on all of these. These are pretty vague. In fact, the wiki page doesn't really exist for this game right now and explains everything. But I want to say that before you buy a character, check out all of the character skills and their kits and what they kind of do. Another thing to go over that is kind of important that ties into this is actually going over the heroes. When you are looking at the heroes, when you click on them, it'll tell you, if I mouse over, it'll say toxic, but it also will say tech, dimension. There's other skills like on Bunny, you'll see that there's singular, fusion. And what does that all really mean? Well, you'll see if I mouse over some of these, it may say like fusion or fire. Ideally, you'd want to try to get these to match with whatever you have, and if it's a gold one, it'll require a very specific weapon. That's where the ultimate does kind of take into consideration for your build. It'll, in theory, give you 20% more skill power, but there's a lot of builds where skill power isn't going to be the dominating thing. But you could still equip the thing even if you're not using it. Doesn't mean you have to have that weapon out. It just means that you have to have it equipped. So there will be some people's builds that you will see, especially for some of the raids, where they're going to equip a weapon that they don't even use, but it's to basically facilitate that sort of requirement. But again, the reason why purple items are going to be so strong is because you can roll that firearm attack. That's the thing that you want. That's what's going to give you the min-max DPS. Also, when you're throwing in the modules, every single module will be either for the green, which is considered impact, or let's say the purple rounds, or which is called high power, or the generic rounds. Those you cannot swap in between. But if I get a different weapon, what you can do earlier on, and this is okay in the very earlier stages where it just says equip recommended. Now, another thing that's very important, which it doesn't explain to you, see how this costs 4 over here? If I move this, it won't let me move that. Why? So if I put this in a very specific area, I'm going to remove this right now. So if I put this over here, you'll see that it costs 8. But see how there's a little C symbol here? It's called cerulean. On the weapon mods and on your character mods, if you socket these in very specific areas, it will reduce the cost in half. There's also things where you can add more of these to weapons later, but that's kind of more advanced. But this is just like earlier player mistakes that you don't notice. Like, see how this costs 16? I couldn't throw this on. My module capacity is only so much. And if you want to increase the module capacity, well, you can get a very special item. But again, we'll get more into that in like the advanced, steps in here. But this is just like for beginners. And this is also true with your character's Descendant modules. You'll see that there's these little icons. Depending on where I put these in, this will matter. It's all messed up now, by the way, because I was playing a different character. And you'll notice that if you swap characters a lot, well, you're gonna have to redo some of your like stuff. But also another important thing, level up your melee skill. Your melee skill will actually give you more. See where it says module capacity 44 out of 60. If I remove this, I only have 50. And why is that? Well, it's because the melee skill over here will give you more when you level these up. So don't skip out on this. Make sure you guys level up that module. And again, just go to the module guide, which is right over here. Level up your melee skill, as that will increase your capacities pretty big. Anyways, those are going to be the top mistakes that players make that are going to really hinder their progression in the game. But hopefully this video and guide was helpful for you. If it did help the video grow, drop a like on it, subscribe if you are new here to be updated on more First Descendant content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.